Good morning. Today we will talk about academic writing. Academic writing is a formal style of writing used in higher education institutions and scholarly materials of all sorts. Academic writing follows the same writing process as other types of text, but it has specific conventions in terms of content, structure, and style. Akaya and Aiden said academic writing is the process of sharing original research with other scholars in accordance with certain standard rules. This process requires correctly following the steps of scientific academic writing. The first part is about characteristics of academic writing. Academic writing displays a set of characteristics which distinguish it from other types of writings. Here is a list of the main characteristics. So we have the complexity, responsibility, hidden, objectivity, structure, accuracy, formality, and precision. So let's see all these characteristics one by one. Now, the first one is the complexity. Academic writing displays a more complex grammar than spoken language and is lexically dense, using more noun-based phrases. It includes more subordinate clauses, more attributive adjectives, and more passive forms than spoken language. Formality. Academic writing is more formal than other types of writing, non-academic writing, of course. It uses more complex sentences, defining genre and formal vocabulary. For example, somewhat is more formal than a bit, or insufficient is more formal than not enough. Precision. Academic writing is based on research. It reports facts, statements, and arguments need to be supported by evidence. It is important to give credit to authors properly. Accuracy. Academic writing is accurate both as concerns the use of vocabulary and grammar. Choosing the correct word and the appropriate grammatical form is very important to avoid approximations. For example, choose the correct word among, meeting, assembly, gathering, or conference, so makes your text more accurate. Structure. Academic writing is structured. The structure of a given writing piece depends on the genre of writing. For example, an essay will have an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion, while a research paper will most often follow the IMRAD structure: introduction, methods and materials, results, discussion, and conclusion sections. Objectivity. Academic writing uses neutral words which show neither emotion nor attitude. The emphasis is on the information and the arguments rather than on the author. Academic texts use more nouns and non-evaluative adjectives rather than verbs and adverbs. For example, instead of writing, "I believe the model is valid based on these findings," write, "These findings indicate that the model is valid." Or for example, instead of writing, "Parents who smoke are abusedly abusing their children," you can write, "Second-hand smoke has some harmful effects on children's health." Hidden. So academic writing is known to be factual. However, it is important to use cautious language, also called hidden, to make decisions about the stance on a particular subject or the strength of the claims. For example, you can use introductory verbs and modal adverbs. For example, for introductory verbs such as seem, tend, look like, appear to, be sure, indicate, And for modal adverbs, you can use definitely, clearly, perhaps, and also there is some clauses such as it could be the case that, it might be suggested that, or there is every hope that. Responsibility. It's the last characteristics of academic writing. So academic writing is responsible. It aims at demonstrating an understanding of the theoretical backgrounds. Academic writers are required to provide evidence and justification for any claims they make. For example, instead of writing, language is, in my view, clearly something social. So you write as holiday. So we make a reference. Language is intrinsically social. This is for the characteristics of academic writing. Now we move to the second part, sort about summarizing. It's very important to know how to summarize a paper, how to summarize a text. So summarizing or writing a summary means giving a concise overview of a text's main points in your own words. But in your own words. A summary is always much shorter than the original text, of course. There are 5 key steps that can help you to write a summary. The first one is to read the text and break it down into sections. Third one is to identify the key points in each section. Fourth one is to write the summary, and the final point or final key is to check the summary against the article. Let's see these steps one by one. So, step 1 is to read the text. You should read the text more than once to make you sure that you have thoroughly understood it. It's often effective to read it in 3 stages. So, you scan the article quickly to get a sense of its topic and overall shape. To read the article carefully, highlighting important points and taking notes as you read. And the final stage is to skim the article to confirm that you have understood it. So you must make a difference between scan, read, and skim the text or the article. Scan is the first stage, and skim is the final stage. It's to read it to confirm if you have understood it. The step 2 is to break the text down into sections. To make the text more manageable and understand its subpoints, break it down into smaller sections. If the text is scientific paper that follows a standard empirical structure, it is probably already organized into clearly marked sections, usually including an introduction, methods, research, and discussion. So it is the Emerald organization. Step 3 is identify the key point in each section. Key points for scientific paper. So we have a table summarizing those points. We must answer this question for each section. For example, for introduction, so we must give answer to this question, the problem addressed or the hypothesis formulated. We must search it. For the second section, for example, on methods, so we search the type of research was done and how were the data collected and analyzed it. For results, for example, so what was the most important findings? We search and we must understand the most important findings or most important results. For the final section, discussion, so we must give answer for this question. What is the overall answer of the research question? How does the author explain these results? What are the implications of these results? Are there any important limitations? And are there any key recommendations? So, we must pay attention to the thesis statement. What is a thesis statement? The central claim that the author wants us to accept, which usually appear in the introduction and the topic sentence that signal the main idea of each paragraph. The step number 4 is to write the summary. Now that you know the key points that the article aims to communicate, you need to put them in your own words. To avoid plagiarism and show you have understood the article, it is essential to properly paraphrase the author's ideas. Do not copy and paste parts of the article, not even just a sentence or two. The final step is to check the summary against the article. So finally, read through the article once more to ensure that you have accurately represented the author's work, you haven't missed any essential information, the paraphrasing is not too similar to any sentences in the original. So if you follow these 5 steps, I think you will do the best summary. Thanks for your attention.